Hey Gengar gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we answer what is perhaps one of the most interesting questions I have posed on YouTube to date, and that is, can you actually make money opening a case of booster boxes, or will you lose money every single time? So today's video is an interesting one for a variety of reasons. In style, it is technically very similar to that of Derium's financial reviews, and obviously credit where credit's due, he's a big influence on this channel, especially with that type of video. In case you don't know, Derium is another YouTuber. He also does a lot of Twitch content, and what's really cool is that he tends to open a large number of products at a time. So he'll, do something like 1,000 Burning Shadows or 1,000 Hidden Fates. And then what's really cool is that at the end, he'll usually do like one video where he does the opening, and then another video where he basically says like, hey, here's how much we spent and here's how much we made. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something pretty similar to that. We're going to be specifically opening up a case of the most recent set, Battle Styles, and then seeing how much money did I actually make by doing a couple of things. Checking how much bulk we have for sale, checking how much the TCG codes go for, and finally but not least, checking how much money was generated from all of the hits that we pulled in the boxes. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. First things first, as always, let's clear up some assumptions that are going to be made while we're looking at this analysis. The first is that obviously everything is always valuable or more valuable in the long run. Sadly, that's the nature of collectibles, and so opening a case of this stuff is a pretty brainless activity if you were doing this 20 years ago, right? Think about it. You open up first edition base set. Nowadays, even if the cards are graded relatively poorly, chances are they're going to be worth a lot of money. And theoretically, the same could hold true for Battle Styles. So obviously, we're not looking at this stuff in the long run. We're looking at it in the short term. Specifically, we're looking to see if I spent $600 on a booster case this week, would I theoretically be able to at least say that all the cards I got were at least worth that much, if not more, in the short run. And that's really the key component to today's topic, is that we want to make sure that when we're opening a case, we're getting that much value right then and there, because otherwise there's really no point in opening a case. You're better off just buying the cards separately because you would have come off cheaper anyway. The other thing to bear in mind is that all cards are going to be sold, and the reason I say that, and by the way, there's air quotes around the word sold, is because the idea here is that if I could sell it for that price, chances are there's someone buying it for that price. So whether or not I was going to buy the card and put it into my binder, or whether or not I was going to sell the card and put the money back in my pocket, it all kind of works out the same. At the end of the day, what really happened is I took one of each card and put it in a binder, but theoretically the same price that I'm showing on screen right now is the price that I would have had to buy that card for, and so at the end of the day, I can just as quickly take that same set of cards and sell it. So theoretically, we're just going to go with the assumption that all cards are sold. This way it's a lot easier and we don't have to factor in the fact that I kept a binder's worth of these cards anyway. But again, theoretically, if I wanted to buy these cards, I saved because I already pulled them. Now, the third assumption is that you're a normal human being. So earlier I mentioned Derium, he's a card shop, or at a minimum, he's definitely a content creator that's kind of built for large amounts of openings. Myself, tons of other people watching this video, we aren't built for this type of content. So what does that mean? Well, if you're going to open 216 packs, I don't expect you to be able to accurately price and sell each and every single one of these cards. Put a different way, we're going to go with the most realistic assumptions for each and every single one of the components. When it comes to all of the hits, we're going to price those out using TCG Player. When it comes to things like the codes, we're going to go ahead and assume that you're selling them on Facebook Marketplace or someone who is looking to buy codes at market prices. And when it comes to bulk, we're going to assume it's bulk. So that means that not every trainer card, not every common, not every uncommon gets valued at its true value. And that's because, again, at the end of the day, we're left with over 2,000 cards at the end of this process. So it's a little difficult to really, truly price out all those cards and sell all of those cards at a realistic price. Instead, it's more likely that you count and sort these cards and trade them in for bulk. Now, with that said, first things first, let's go over Battle Styles, because I think Battle Styles is a really interesting set, and I wanted to spend just a little bit of time taking a look at it. Now, as you can see on screen right now, what I went ahead and did was I basically pulled down some data from TCG Player, and I basically got things like the rarity and the number of the set, and then here's the real gimmick, is that I pulled price data as of April 1st, or April Fool's Day, and then I pulled sales data as of a week prior to that, so about March 23rd. And as you can see, what I did was I put those two prices right next to each other, and then I showed you a difference. I was originally going to make this video closer to launch, and the reason for that was because I thought it wouldn't be that big a difference. But what I found out is that most of these cards have actually gone down in price, some quite significantly in price, over the course of the past week. And so I wanted to bear in mind that there's a little bit of hype around this set, and I should keep that in mind when doing this analysis. So I figure in about 2 weeks' time, which is approximately where we're at right now, we would have a better indicator of how truly valuable a case is. So that's why this video is being released right now. This video is also being done pretty close to its release date, and that's specifically with the idea of getting the most relevant price information, but also making sure that the price information is far enough away from launch that we're not being impacted by that crazy sort of, initial spike that we very clearly, obviously, always see when card sets come out. So, in summary of the information that I just showed on screen, as you can see, a week ago, quote unquote, is what I'll call it, it would have cost about $1,600 to buy a complete set if you were just buying each and every single card running down the list. In the course of a week, the entire set lost about $186 in value. So that's actually a pretty significant decline. It's about more than 10% actually. So in the course of a week, it definitely went down in price. The other really interesting thing that I like about Battle Styles is that it's not a chase set. You frequently hear this said, but it doesn't have a Charizard, it doesn't have a big hitter. The only thing it really has is that alternate art Tyranitar and Urshifu. By the way, more to come on those in just a little bit. But other than that, there's really not much there that's driving the price of these cards artificially high. There's a reason why you've been able to find them on places like the Pokemon Center, basically, all throughout. Admittedly, stores might still be low in stock, but if you look hard enough, you can usually find Battle Styles at MSRP, which again, I thought was a really good reason to do this type of exercise, because I really thought the financial review of this set would be probably really close to, as accurate as you can possibly get with a set, because there's no real market force that's causing this to behave in an unreasonable way. With something like Shining Fates, scalpers are literally turning the ETBs around for literally 1.5 times MSRP. So it's a little bit more difficult to say for a fact that if I did a financial analysis of that, it would be really accurate. But here, there's really nothing driving the price artificially high, so it really does make me feel comfortable. Now, the next thing of note is going to be the second pivot table down here. As you can see, we have the market price and the sum of difference. And I mean, the commons are really nothing worth more than 10 cents. The holo rares, nothing worth more than $2.57, and I believe this Bronzong is playable, and that's why the price is a little bit higher. For the rare non-holographics, nothing under 53 cents. And then for the ultra rares, which include the full arts, by the way, the most expensive card is going to be the Tyranitar alternate art card, so that's the one that I recently just pulled in this week Thursday's video, so that's $141. For the secret rares, the other big card that breaks $100 is going to be this Urshifu alternate art card. And as I'd mentioned before, those two cards, the Urshifu VMAX Rapid Strike and the alternate art Tyranitar, are the only two cards that break the $100 mark. Mind you, for the past couple of sets now, we've had cards that consistently break the $200 mark. So it's interesting to see because, you know, we had the Pikachu in Vivid Voltage, we have the Charizards in, I don't know, basically every other set that's come out since last year summer. So it's kind of interesting because, again, this set really isn't like that crazy. And then just to wrap it up, the uncommons, about $7.06 total, nothing over 36 cents individually, and most of the cards have actually declined in price. There are a couple that have appreciated week over week. So the single strike Urshifu full art did go up like $1.28 according to TCG Player, but other than that, there's really not anything that's done, you know, stupendously well. And again, for the most part, the set has saw a general about 10% or greater decline over the last week, which is pretty cool. Now, on to the actual breaking of the case. So, you guys actually saw one case of these cards get broken on my recent video where I opened up a full booster box. Other than that, I did the other 5 booster boxes by myself, just kind of watching TV, hanging out one night. But let me go ahead and break down for you the way that breaking boxes on such a large number works. So first things first, let's go ahead and zoom in. I don't know how to zoom in. This is awkward. Oh, here it is. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and talk about the breakdown per pack. In every pack of Pokemon cards, you get an energy, a rare, 3 uncommons, and 6 common cards. Additionally, you do get a reverse, which can be from any of these 3 different types of rarities. So all in all, you typically get 10 cards per booster pack unless there's some sort of weird error. There are 36 packs per box, and I opened up 6 boxes, which means I opened up a total of 216 packs of cards. Now, some really simple math basically tells you that, you know, if I just multiply the number of uncommons per pack times the total number of packs that I opened up, I should be able to get the total number of each of the 3 rarities of cards that we got. Now, the one thing is that the reverse can be any of those, but we're just going to ignore that. And the reason we can ignore that safely is because the reverse is actually worth more than the non-holographic version of the card would be. And so since most of these cards are going to end up in bulk anyway, it actually gives us a low ball or a conservative figure and not a higher or artificially inflated number. So basically for this exercise, what I'm saying is I basically went ahead and ignored the price at which reverse cards sell for at bulk, which, you know, take it as you will, but it's erring on the safer side, and you'll see why that's important a little bit later on in the video. Now, for all of the common cards, again, 1,296. The bulk price on cards right now is about 4 cents per card. You typically get about 2,400 bulk, uncommon, or common cards selling for $100 US. So in total, these 1,944 cards sold for the whopping price of $77.76. Add on to that the net amount of rares. So here's how the rares work. Again, each pack has 1 rare, so that means we get 216 rare cards. 49 of those were hits, and by hit I mean a V card or better. So it has to be a V card, something with texture, a VMAX, a secret rare, or something of that nature. It can't be a holographic card. So for all the rares, non-holographic rares sell at about 6 cents per card. Multiply the 167, which is the difference between the 216 and the 49, and we get $10.02. So in total, after breaking apart 6 booster boxes, taking away 49 hit cards, I was able to get $87.78 in bulk value. Now, realistically, this number is a little understated, and that's something that I'm okay with, given the fact that at the end of the day, this is a financial analysis, and it's better to err on a conservative side than it is to be a little too optimistic. So we got less than a booster box worth in value from bulk, but you know, it is bulk at the end of the day. So what can you do? Now, let's talk about codes. Codes are an interesting one because typically I wouldn't I wouldn't really be selling codes. And for this exercise, I went ahead and priced it out as if I did, but realistically, I usually give all of my codes away. So it's kind of weird because I'm saying I did it for the sake of the analysis, but in reality, I keep those codes so that you can reach out to me and get some codes if you haven't been able to get codes from another YouTube video or from one of your other content creators. By the way, feel free to reach out if you want to get some code cards for battle styles. I'm happy to provide them to you. My email is always in the description, and so is my Instagram, so you can DM me there if you want to as well. Now, on to the codes. Again, 36 packs means we get 36 code cards per box. I opened up 5 boxes this time. Why is that? Because I actually gave away 36 codes when I opened up that Battle Styles booster box. So in theory, if you were doing this, you could add it up to 6, but the other problem is that you might want to keep 36, right? You might also like playing the TCG online, and so having kept one entire booster box's worth of codes on the side for yourself and selling 5 is theoretically not the worst thing that you could possibly do. Again, what I'm trying to say is that this is relatively reasonable, and I don't think it kind of strains credulity to say, you know, you opened up a case, but you might keep 36 codes for yourself and sell the other 180. Obviously, 36 times 5 is equal to 180 codes, and I was able to sell these codes for 35 cents each. Now, this is something interesting. The 35 cents each is a benefit I get of selling these codes within 2 weeks of launch. Later on in this product's life cycle, meaning, you know, a month or 2 from now, this will drop to about 5 cents per code. And the reason for that is because right now there's huge demand for battle styles because it is the most new and the most sought after set. But in a little bit, it'll drop down to, you know, regular price. And so as a result, this is one of those things where I am taking advantage of a really good price. But as you can see on screen right now, there are websites out there that are offering this much for these codes. Just bear in mind that, you know, in the future, the exact opposite may be true. You might only get 1/7 of the value of this, meaning you might only get like $9 for all these codes instead of $63 for these codes. So bear that in mind. So where does that put us as of right now? With the bulk and the codes, we got up to $150.78, which honestly isn't too bad, isn't too crazy. Next up, let's talk about the hits, and the hits are going to be an interesting one. So, as you can see on screen, what I've gone ahead and done is I've gone ahead and broken out my hits by box, and then I've gone ahead and brought in the price. So, let's talk about it. Now, up first, I'll show you kind of just the general breakdown. As you can see, for secret rares, I got literally 6. So there are 6 booster boxes and there are 6 secret rares. Sound familiar? Very frequently, you know, what we notice is that, you know, typically you're going to end up pulling 1 secret rare per box, so this was pretty much on par. The one thing I will say is that I did get both gold Pokemon, so I did get the Houndoom as well as the Octillery. In a update video somewhere down the road, I'll show you guys the binder and how it stands as of right now. The other thing is I did get a secret rare Cheryl, so that was pretty cool. She's not the most expensive card, but she's certainly there. I also got a Corviknight and a Flapple. For ultra rares, there's tons of cards here. So one thing I will note is that, as you can see, it's sorted by the value, or rather, it's sorted by the frequency with which I got it. So the Rapid Strike Urshifu and the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, I pulled 5 and 3 respectively. I got tons of Stoutlands, tons of Victinis, Mimikyus, Flapples, you name it. Shockingly, no alternate arts in this box, and that's something that I'll talk about a little bit later. I got 2 Necrozma full arts, which was kind of annoying purely because I could have used a different card. 2 Karina's Focus full arts, which was also kind of funny. Again, would have loved to pull a Cheryl or a Phoebe, but I got 2 Karinas instead, go figure. I got 2 Flapple VMAXs, which is, again, annoying because at this point you're just taking up spots that I could have pulled other cards from. And yeah, all things considered, the total value between the secret rares and the ultra rares was $493. So, where does that put us? Well, here you go. With the bulk sale of cards, sale of codes, and the value of the hits, I made a total of $644.62. So I only paid $600 for the booster case. I paid, distributor price, not MSRP, which means I technically made a profit of $44.62. The one other exercise that I did, just to say I did it, is TCG times 0.9. So for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of people would argue that TCG player isn't always the most indicative of price. Oftentimes prices can fluctuate a little below that. So typically when you're pricing things to sale, what you might want to do is you might want to only charge about 90% of what TCG player says it is. So that's exactly what I did. I took that number, I multiplied it by 0.9, I added in the other $150 and some odd cents from the sale of codes and cards, and I got to $595.24. Again, I paid $600 for the case of cards, which means I only lost $4.76. So again, another really interesting tidbit here that I really wasn't expecting. Just one other random thing before I go to wrap up this video. I wanted to get you all a breakdown by box because I thought it was really interesting. Now, if you look at this, what you'll notice is that only two boxes, box number 1 that I opened up on camera, by the way, and box number 6, which I didn't open up on camera, were actually above market price. So it looks like about 2 of the boxes in the case were above the $100 price range for that box. Everything else was below it. Box number 3 comes close. I mean, technically, I guess it could have broken even if I had used a week ago's prices, but it came pretty close, all things considered. But the other 2 boxes, numbers 4 and 5, were absolutely miserable, and number 7 was, only 80 bucks. As I'd said, we did average about 1 rainbow rare or secret rare per box. We also saw that, typically you were getting something pretty cool. So arbitrarily numbered, by the way, but I did get 2 secret rares in this box, which was completely weird. And then I also got a ton of ultra rares, right? So it's really no surprise that box 1 came out pretty much at $100 in value. Box number 2, I got the Cheryl, but other than that, I got 3 V cards, 2 Rapid Strike Urshifus, and a Necrozma full art. Again, nothing impressive, and even more annoying is the fact that cards were then doubling up. Box number 3, which again didn't break even, I got a Flapple VMAX secret rare and a Octillery secret rare. So it's one of those things where, again, I had another box with 2 secret rares in it, but just absolute buns for pulls, minus, a few new cards that I needed. Box number 4 was only worth about $40 in total, $47 in total. No secret rares. And I got an Empoleon, a Victini VMAX, I got a Necrozma full art. That's about the only big hit. The box number 5, which was the $43 box, again, no secret rares. I got a Mimikyu full art, which was worth 21 bucks, but other than that being the sort of main driver, that box was about a big loss. And box number 6 is where I pulled the Houndoom. And what's cool about that is that, I did get a couple of cards here and there. Really, the Houndoom, which is about a $63 card, plus the Karina's Focus and the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, those cards really contributed majorly to the fact that this was very much above MSRP for a booster box when purchasing, at $100 a booster box. So, where do we go from here? Like I said, in a case, we got 6 secret rares. That's on average 1 per box. As you can see, I clearly didn't pull them all 1 per box. Sometimes I was pulling 2, sometimes I was pulling none, and overall that's really kind of weird, because what that means is that you might be in a situation where you get the 1 box that has no secret rares. You could end up with a box like this one, where you get like $43 in hits, and then it's kind of like, well, what are you going to do at that point? The other thing to bear in mind is that, obviously the bulk of the value really didn't come from the secret rares. It came from just the stupid fact that there were that many cards, and that many cards sum up to about $289. So that's about 60% of all of the hits total value, which again goes to show sometimes it's not about getting one big card, it's about getting multiple relatively valuable cards that sort of add up really well. So sometimes it just plays out like that. So where does that put us? This was a really cool experience. Little fun fact, I've never actually opened up a case before, at least not to my knowledge. In the past, I opened up like 1 or 2 booster boxes, and frankly, that would be my recommendation. While I did come out on top, you do have to bear in mind a couple of different things, right? This $44 could have been reduced by the cost of shipping bulk. So, if I'm shipping out about 2,000 cards, I typically package them in a large flat rate box, so that's going to be about $20 in shipping. So it sounds like 2 over 7 is going to be about, coming up on 20%. So it's probably going to be anywhere from like $4 to $6 to ship these cards in a flat rate box if I wanted to like proportionately give out costs to this particular endeavor. So I guess the $6 still leaves us with plenty of profit, but it is theoretically it is a number to consider. Additionally, I did realize that the sale of codes, when I receive the money to my PayPal account, it will be via goods and services, so I will receive only 96.5% of the $63, and that's because 3.5% will be the fee that I pay for using PayPal goods and services. So that's another number that does theoretically lower the value. And then, of course, there's also shipping costs and materials, right? Because I've gone ahead and priced out all of these cards, but as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm not a card shop. So now, there are still 49 cards that I theoretically would need to sell. I could sell to one person and hopefully I get close to this value, but chances are I won't. Chances are I'll have to cut a deal or take, 20% off TCG Player in order to move all this stuff. So in addition to any discounts that might get given, I might then have to sell these cards individually, and if I am doing that, guess what? Each and every single one of these cards requires a top loader, a sleeve, tape, a shipping label, shipping costs, and my time, all of which, as you know, are going to add to the overall value and take away from this number at the end of the day. So, at the end of the day, do I think it's a worthwhile, profitable endeavor? No. If you're a normal collector like myself and you're not a card shop who's looking for bulk and is in the business of dealing with cards, this is an incredibly, incredibly labor-intensive process. You got to open all these cards up, you got to sort them out, the bulk is another problem in and of itself, and then, it can be frustrating at times because you're opening up cards and you're not really getting the hits that you want. So by and far, it can be a lot more difficult to open up an entire case than it is to just, buy 2 or 3 booster boxes, enjoy yourself opening up these boxes, dealing with that incrementally less amount of cards, and then just, filling in the blanks wherever. So, that is something to consider as well. My own personal experiences, I will say by box 2, I was getting so many repeats that it was absolutely disgusting. Again, there are some cards that I pulled 5 times. There are some cards that I pulled 3 times. And again, when you're talking about hits, the last thing you want to see is repeats, because in theory, a case should probably get you pretty far into your whole binder collection. So when you're getting, 3, 4, 5 repeats of a card, it's incredibly frustrating. So I would definitely think that for most collectors, opening 2 or 3 booster boxes is about where you want to stop. And then from there, let it kind of rock as it will. The one thing I will say is that it is nice to know that opening up a booster case still has value. As I had mentioned, in the long run, of course, this is probably going to be a profitable endeavor. I'm sure the Cheryl will go up in value at some point. If it grades a 10, even better for me. Theoretically, that Houndoom, if I got it graded, not that I could with PSA shutting down, but theoretically, if I, selectively chose some cards, graded it, and waited, I'm pretty sure it would pay for itself. But that wasn't the point of this exercise. I spent $600 today. I wanted to know, is the value there today? And I think more or less we've proven that, it is. If you're looking at the value of cards from a singles perspective, and you really take into account some of the very basic, easy to calculate elements, yeah, the value is totally there. By the way, if I started individually counting every single card I got, plus the reverses and the holo rares, I'm pretty sure that number would have spun very much more in my favor. Probably closer to like 650. Oh, sorry, maybe like 700 to 750, meaning we could have made profit of anywhere from about $100 to $150. But again, no one's out here trying to count all of that stuff, and I think that's the real point of all of this, right? Enjoy the cards, enjoy opening the cards. It's just nice to know that there's some value baked in there, and that not every booster box you open up is going to be worth about $43 when all is said and done. In many ways, this kind of proves the whole point that, you open these cards up, but they do have residual value, and that's actually really nice to know, especially going into the future. But with that said, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. Some random updates and tidbits. Let me know if you all want to see a financial review of card lists in the future. So when Chilling Reign comes out, do you want to see something like this where you see price deltas week over week? Because I just realized that it's actually a pretty cool analysis to show, and it does kind of show how rapidly things are kind of increasing or decreasing over the course of the week. So if that is something that you're interested in, let me know that down below. The other thing is that, do you want to see a full-blown financial analysis like this one for other things in the future? Obviously, we have Chilling Reign coming out, so in addition to showing you what TCG says it's worth, I can show you what I actually pulled out of an entire case of booster boxes. And additionally, I do have Battle Styles ETB cases. So if you'd like to see me open up some of those and then let you know how much value was baked into a case of 10 ETBs, let me know that down below, and I will do my best to get that out as some of the content on the channel. Other than that, the one thing I will say, strangely enough, is that if you're not already, feel free to subscribe. For some reason or the other, we lost 7 subscribers on April Fool's Day, and I can't tell if they were the Russian robots trying to take over my account or if it was something else. I really couldn't tell you what it is, but what I will say is I do appreciate each and every single one of you that has stuck around. If there is something that you'd like to see me do more of, or something that you want to see me do less of, or if you want to just leave feedback in general, of course, I do always welcome that. I'd rather you all have input into how this community grows and how the channel develops over time, because you guys are my viewers and I appreciate you more than you know. Other than that, as always, if you're not already, feel free to subscribe. And I appreciate you spending 33 minutes of your Saturday with me. It's always much appreciated. You could have been anywhere on the internet, but you chose to hang out with me, and that means the world. But other than that, I'll stop talking now. It's nice to know I got $44 for sorting through all that bulk, and wish me luck counting all of the reverse cards, because now I have to go sort a crap ton of bulk. Other than that, guys, we'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Easter to those of you celebrating. And we'll talk soon. Peace.